Hey guys, this is Tyler Franzen with Duramax Tuner, and this is a behind-the-scenes look of our weekend Polar. It's a $15,000 budget build.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this special edition of Diesel Performance Podcast and LBZ Budget Build.
Yeah.
Chris, what do you think of this?
Oh, what do you think of it? It's been a crazy summer. So, kind of recap. Beginning of the summer, came with this game plan. Nick, you, hey, we're known for setting up sled pull trucks, work stock, yada yada for ISP. Let's get a truck and let's compete.
Yeah, and then we roped in Tyler over here. You guys know Tyler Franzen?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm in the sales department. I've been around the pulling world, most of my life. Not so much on the competitive side, but always attended. And we felt like I guess I was the culprit to jump in and do this, be a part of this project as well. So I was very honored to be capable of doing something like this. It was a lot of fun.
And we also, of course, have Nick with us.
Yes. So we had the Stealth 67 G2 product rollout.
Yep.
Sled pulling season. It's always fun to have a truck in the pulls. I enjoy that. Enjoy helping with the setup. It's just adds another level of excitement to the team. So it's good to have those things to look forward to on the weekends. Good to have those pulls to go to.
Well, I mean,
Keep things exciting.
a couple things. He had a bunch of free time he could burn. We had a budget in mind to give a real-world experience. Plus, for us, it was data collection. So we were able to take a turbocharger that we're going to market with and put it through, a really in-depth testing.
Yeah. You can't fake anything on the track.
No, not at all. Like in front of people too, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So we weren't controlled. This wasn't on our dyno. It wasn't on, one of our trucks that we're driving, keeping it away from anyone. Like, we bear it all. There you go. Everyone gets to see it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the big things for me as we started to frame out what this project looked like. I thought it was really important to have some transparency. That's something that I think we've done really well with on the podcast.
Absolutely.
We've always been really honest and try to give the good, the bad, and the ugly of it. And I think a lot of times when we've looked around at who is sled pulling and who the big names are, you see the wins and the catastrophes. You don't see anything in between, right? Like, if they blow an engine apart, they want to show that because it's great carnage footage. But, other than that, you only see all the great pulls. You don't see all the problems and the struggle. But when you talk to these guys, that's almost all we end up talking about is all of the heartbreak that goes on with this.
When things are going great, they're not calling us.
But when they are, it's Thursday when they have a pull Friday, and we need to.
Thursday, you got early birds, yeah.
I mean, I'm just
30
going to
minutes
say,
get it on the truck.
Budget Build would sit in our parking lot,
Yeah.
broken, not pointing fingers, until Thursday, cramming it to be done by Friday to be at a pull.
And-
So, I mean, real world, if you wanted real world, we gave it.
We did give it real world.
That is very true. Tyler, let's talk about all of the wasted footage that we have of GoPros of you
Proposing.
I wasn't even going to jump into the proposal yet, so we'll talk about the whole season.
I don't think you have room to talk.
The GoPro footage of you working on the truck. We have so much. As me and the other guys in media have gone through it, hours and hours. How much time do you think you actually spent under the truck and in the shop throughout this season?
I think I totaled, earlier in the season, I totaled it up. It was around, I want to say 30 hours or so. I was here almost every weeknight till midnight. I think the latest I stayed was like 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Mallory was pretty pissed off at me. But there was a lot to do. We pretty much took a bone stock truck to a whole nother level. So there definitely were a lot of tasks that needed to be completed. So
Let's start from the beginning, right? Let's start from the basics. We got the truck down in Georgia. We had it brought up here 2 or 3 weeks before sled pull season started.
yeah,
It's like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
So we
okay.
found a
3
rust-free truck. Tough to find a rust-free 06 in Illinois these days.
Yeah, that was a fun. So we do like these meetings, right? Marketing podcast meetings, and Nick goes to us and goes, "Yeah, crew long LBZ, find it." Like, yeah,
We
I
set a
believe in
deadline.
unicorns. I believe in unicorns too, man.
If
Like,
I
let's do
remember
this.
correctly, we set a deadline of we have to have the truck here on the lot by this day, and it showed up exactly 7 days later,
Yep.
which again is standard
for
sled
us.
pull story.
yeah.
CVS.
Just everybody, every customer, every guy I've ever talked to, you set these deadlines for yourselves, and then you push and push and push, and reality hits in. And a week honestly wasn't bad. You had about 3 weeks to set it up.
Yeah.
So there was a budget that was set aside, $15K,
Yep.
once we bought the truck,
Yep.
and said that's it for the season.
Yeah, I mean, a hard limit of 15K, and we're going to see all the glory, all the pitfalls, you know, no makeup on big, really. It's
No.
every week, film, show it, show the reality of the sled pull. And I think, you know, we certainly got a lot of that. I mean, at the outset of the season, Tyler says, I can do it, I can set up a sled pull truck. And we all know that we've been on the phone with these guys who go sled pulling, and they inevitably fuck up every step along the way. And I'm not saying that happened to us, but we definitely tripped over a few of our like common customer hurdles that we coach against, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So traction bar install, you know, having the rear end pitched exactly the wrong way, snap the yoke off.
Exactly the wrong way.
It was the, you know, it's one of those things that
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys just think throw traction bars on it, it's going to prevent axle ratting. Well, there's a little bit more to it.
A little more to it than that, right? Busted the carrier bearing on it. I had the rev limiter set wrong in the first pull, 3800. You know, just seeing the log file, like, oh, you dumbass. Like, what are you doing, you know? How many years have I been doing this? And still managed to do it on my own truck. But yeah, I mean, we just found every little, you know, tire pressure set wrong. Like,
Yep.
just watching the videos, and it's good, I think, as a person following this build to be able to see, like, oh, yeah, that's what that looks like when you do it right, and that's what it looks like when you do it wrong.
and there is so many visuals that is just night and day difference. Like the tire pressure one was one that really cracked me up. Tyler, you want to talk a little bit about tire pressure on the track? And
Yeah, I guess I could. So I started thinking, like, my mindset was low tire pressure, you know, ultimate traction on the ground. And Nick advised me one day, he's like, why don't you bring the rear up to, what was it, 65, 70 that you told me to bring it to? And I dropped the front down to 25, and my mind, I put it at, I think I was at, what was it, 45, 50?
Definitely.
It was, okay, it was 30. It was 30, and then we saw in the footage, I mean, we could clearly see that, you know, that rear tire was just an absolute bulge going down the track. And, you know, from what I was always, I guess, from visually learning and pulling is you want to have low tire pressure. I guess I never really thought of, once that loads down on the rear, you know, it really squats out that tire
hitch
quite a bit.
I mean, that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Really
and definitely the hitchhike too, yeah. So, I mean, and then we go over that in that episode too of how that affected hitch height, how that affected, you know, I could have had a tire spinning on a rim, you know, being that low pressure too. So that was, you know, one of the first things that we learned going into the season, or that I learned.
Now, this was essentially your first season of sled pulling, pretty much ever, at least for a full season.
Yeah. No, every time I've always pulled, it's been just like my personal pickup, you know, local pull, have a couple of drinks, and hell yeah, I'll pull, and that's all it's really been. So.
But yeah, okay, so that also sounds again like a lot of the people that we talk to, where it's their first season in or their second season in. They've been around it a little bit. They decided, okay, this is the truck. I'm going to dive in. What were some of the really surprising stuff that you ran into that you didn't expect to have a problem?
Well, the first shocker to me, I guess, was my first pull. I thought that I had stock keys in the truck, so I was shocked finding out that it was leveling keys in it, because I couldn't figure out why the hell my front end couldn't come down. Once I did have the truck in the air, you know, that was something that, it wasn't more like a surprise, it was more like a pissed off that I didn't really look into something.
It looked like every other first Duramax puller out there on the track with the
Just
tires
straight
towed in
like
like
this.
this,
Yeah.
and just getting heckled from the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I did really learn a lot when it comes to, you know, I first was coming out of the hole with pulling, you know, a little light, and then I'd lay into it. You know, Nick kind of got on me and said, you know, if you're not 100% out of the hole, he's like, you're fired. You're done with this. Like, I had to start launching out of the hole a lot harder, and that was something that I was really scared about, because, like, you know, again, my first season pulling, I didn't want to break shit, so
You broke a lot of shit.
Well, yeah.
Let's go into it. So, from first pull to last pull, okay? Preparation, how did that change? Because halfway through, you were coming back, the truck was broken almost every time, Okay,
I think we had like 3 or 4 polls there in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as you were preparing, what changed? Mindset, faith in the truck, those types of things.
I think it was more the way that we were having the driveline set up. Our brakes were, our first initial brakes were the drive shaft related, something related from the trans back, and then when we started learning how to address the traction bars, learning how to address, the pitch of the drive shaft, going from a 2-piece to a 1-piece, like that was a lot of learning there and figuring out the proper setup. I mean, I think that was our most part of learning throughout the build was the way that the driveline was set up.
Yeah.
I don't know why it still didn't really figure out why we were having so many problems with the CV shafts because we did break 3. We broke 3.
3. Yeah. 3 sets, right? Because they were 2 at a time. They were
No. It was 1 every time.
Oh, okay.
We never broke twice or broke 2 at a time. But I don't know if it was something that we needed to bring the front end down even more, strap the front end, or
Once the 1-piece drive shaft went in, still breaking CV shafts.
never broke a CV shaft after that. But like we got the 1-piece drive shaft in, and then that's when we had the last pull of the
I
season.
think a lot of this boils down to cascading effect, right? Like
Yeah.
if you have one part of the truck that's set up wrong, say for instance your pinion angle was wrong, right? So
Mhm.
you'd shell the yoke, and then that shock would go through the drive line, and then boom, you'd lose a CV.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have one brake, you usually have multiple brakes because that load gets picked up somewhere.
Yeah,
Right? It goes, whoa, you know what I mean? And that is not a good ending.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, but once you get the setup right, like Tyler was saying, once you get your tire pressure right, once you got the pinion angle right, and 1-piece drive shaft with the good U-joints, like all of a sudden everything kind of comes in, right? I think the thing you got to remember too is this truck is making a lot of power for the class it's in.
Oh, yeah.
And it's making a lot of power. Nobody else that I was watching on our track at ISP was running 4th gear. And we ran
You
4th gear.
You got to think about the power. Like you said, 700 plus horsepower.
700 plus horsepower on a crew long, so that thing's stuck to the ground, and there's a reason we picked that chassis setup, right?
Yep.
And it's planted, so if it if it hooks up and puts that power down, that's 1,600 foot-pounds if it hiccups at all.
It's
It
going to show
doesn't last
itself.
there.
Well, too, you talk about ground speed. That's a big thing. So for me, this is the first year I've ever gone to
Yeah,
and had to watch sled pulls, like be forced to do it. I've gone, I've hung out, I spent a lot of time with you at a lot of them. It was a fun summer to say the least.
What's that mean? What are they excited
Yeah,
about?
like people, I want to know terms. I want to know what was good, what wasn't good. But for guys, ground speed's 22, 23 miles an hour. He comes out of the gate 25, 27 miles an hour. They're like, oh, he's cheating. He's doing this. He's doing that. No, he has the power to get into another gear. Like he just, the recipe is there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's an interesting point to hit on is some of the coaching. Tyler, obviously, you got a lot of advice from a lot of people.
Yeah.
As all sled pullers do. You go to the polls, you stand in the pits, you work on the trucks, you have friends on the weekends, and then, dear God, we all get on Facebook and on forums and get a lot of
Everyone's
advice.
an expert.
Yeah.
But Tyler, you're at work also all day getting advice from everybody around you, right? So it's also just imagine all your coworkers there telling you how wrong you are at every turn.
When it's your free time,
How
then
do you
you're
feel,
in
Nick, from your point of view, how did you feel your coaching made an impact on the season? Do you feel like
Yeah.
your advice was being taken and that was resulting, in gains?
Yeah, I think Tyler learned a lot through the season. I think at first, the tire pressure incident, for instance, I think he kind of mentally needed to find that out on his own. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
am I going to take Nick's advice? Am I not? Like, okay, let's see how this plays out, right? See that. We had a good exchange in one of the polls where I told him to click up to 4th gear after watching everybody else tack out in 3rd, and I think he put 30 feet on the field in that poll.
In Belvedere.
Yeah, that was a
Belvedere.
Belvedere.
That was a
sick.
nasty poll.
That was awesome.
One
Yeah.
of the highlights of the season for sure for me. The setup coming out of the hole, you know what I mean? How to
Yep.
boost the truck up on the line, what to look for before you leave the line, what to look for in the track as you pick a line. And I'm not an expert sled puller. I have very little seat time. What
Sure.
I have a lot of time in is looking at log files and standing there and watching guys pull.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's my specialty. So I know what looks right in a log file. I know what a winning truck looks like going down the track.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it means that the truck is up on boost from the launch to the end.
It's
Right?
all the way.
Yeah. When I see a guy pedaling it for 150 feet, you know what I mean? That was a real learning opportunity, teaching opportunity for Tyler.
Yeah.
I think the rest of the staff too. Start, if you're hanging around, you're watching it. Like, there's a lot you can learn just being there.
Yeah,
The confidence
absolutely.
when you have guys that want to be coached through it. And I said it was a learning experience for sure for you, myself, the rest of
Sure.
the guys on the floors.
Sure. Well, I think one of the other interesting things is that there were parts in the build that I strongly disagreed with. The one-piece drive shaft, I was very vocal that I didn't think that was the solution.
Yeah.
Things like that. And that's one of the things is that when it comes down to Tyler, it's your budget build, make the decision. It comes down to Tyler, it's your budget build, make the decision. Like, I can be as vocal as I want to and know as little or as much as anybody could ever believe. But it's still, it rests on you. How did it feel to have to make some of those decisions about drive shafts and U-joints and what parts and picking all these things out? Because a lot of that was left completely up to you from the start. We said, hey, you need traction bars, figure it out.
Yeah.
It wasn't go buy this. Like, we didn't give you a set list to go purchase.
Yeah. I mean, it was really tough because I started off with like a rough draft. And I mean, you, Nick,
Sure.
we went through it, and there was a few things that were like, maybe we shouldn't do this just yet. We don't need to do this, but let's look more into this. So I was coached a little bit in the beginning. Like, I had an idea of what I wanted to do with the build, and then from there we all kind of brought our heads in together on something. So like going into the season, with the brakes, I wanted to. Even though it was Nick's money, I thought of it as my money. I wanted to be very conservative, but also look at the reliability end of things too. I mean, with the CV shafts breaking, we got lucky on the CV shafts because that was through warranty. Like, the brakes were through warranty, so I continued to replace with warrantable parts.
Sorry, Napa.
Yeah. Yeah, good old genuine Napa parts.
We can edit that.
But then, like, getting into the drive shaft, that was an idea that I had thought of, in the beginning. That was one thing that I kind of wanted to do, and you had kind of put a kibosh on it a little bit. And I was like, all right, well, let's go through the drive shaft at least, do new U-joints, do a new carrier bearing, make sure that the drive shaft's good to go. And that's being on the light end for the budget. That was being, really reserved on the money. So we started with that, and we did have a couple breaks, and then we figured it out with the pinion angle and the traction bars. But towards the end, it was still something that I wanted to do. And watching other pullers like the Mach Brothers, they got a crew cab long bed truck, and,
Sure.
and they have always run a solid one-piece drive shaft. And watching that thing go down the line, like, that thing hauls, that thing really boogies on the track too. So I was like, if that truck is running a one-piece drive shaft, I got the same wheelbase and everything, I feel like that'd be a lot stronger setup. We were running through U-joints and breaking yokes and stuff. So, that was one thing that I always wanted to do, but unfortunately we did it towards the end of the season. I wish we could have done it in the beginning. But,
So it
overall,
could have proven my point that it didn't fix the problem.
Well, it did fix it because the last time the truck went out, the drive shaft, we didn't have an issue. What was the last thing?
What was the last thing to break?
Yeah.
the last thing to break was the trans.
So that was the week. And this is
I would say the last thing that broke was the truck. I mean, the whole
whoa.
fucking truck broke.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
We're gonna rewind
We
a little
haven't
bit.
gone that-
Okay,
yeah.
You're getting emotional with that answer, man.
Thanks,
So
God,
we're
I'm sitting over here.
We're gonna get into this. So, for our listeners, watchers, viewers, whatever, this was a stock trans that we put a converter in. Okay, so it was budget as budget could get,
And the valve body kit, yeah.
and a valve body kit. So what did you do to the trans? What did you do?
Absolutely effed it, I guess you could say.
Like, there's clutch packs and frictions welded
Welded
to the
together,
plants.
yeah.
Yeah, you did that.
And we actually have some pictures of those.
Yeah.
Like they're, dude, F capital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, the final. So, good point, right? The trans was cached. We knew that was. I mean, if a customer called you and talked about running this truck on the track, on a clay track, at this power level, like, under no circumstance would anybody recommend that we do this to the
No,
trans.
No, absolutely not.
Right? 730 rear wheel horsepower, like,
And we're not telling you to do that right now either.
right. I mean, for good reason, because we proved that
Yes.
it will not last the season.
So how about the?
Okay, so we're having a hard time here because it was catastrophic. It is one of the most catastrophic ones
We get
we've torn
transmission.
apart.
We
Yeah.
get transmissions, cores, burnt trucks, high horsepower trucks, rebuild trans. You name it, we see it.
Hundreds
DJ,
of Alice's. Yeah.
DJ, the trans builder in the shop, quote unquote, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
It was
he
shocking.
was, yeah.
And
I've
what's
never
funny
seen him
is
so
we've
surprised.
talked before. I know offline about what are you doing at a sled pull track? Why can you get away with less, right? Like why can you do just a converter and a valve
Yeah.
body? And it's a solid theory, and we've seen guys do it at lower horsepower levels. You're at 550 horse or something like that. We've seen them. I don't know about last. I mean, it's not you're
It's
on
not
a
a
budget.
forever fix, right?
Yeah.
But and I think Tyler's behavior at the last pull proves why it failed. Right. So we know for a fact that I want to say did we lose a U joint in the drive shaft in the last pull as well?
No.
No
It was
U
a
joints.
couple pulls prior.
Yeah, it was a couple pulls before. Yeah.
Okay. So you're going on the track in fourth gear, and you manually tap down into third,
Mhm.
which is for anybody pulling. Don't do that. Never do that. If anything, unlock the truck if you have a lockup switch. If you don't have a lockup switch, ride it out in fourth. If it surges
That's
the
it.
turbo, it surges the turbo. You never want to downshift with a 40,000-pound sled in the dirt
Yeah.
at full power. And that 4-3 downshift
Yeah.
clearly wasted the trans. And then the front end also took a pretty good beat down.
So I'm gonna defend myself a little bit on
Okay.
that because it was leaking when we first got the truck. So I kind of feel like
But
I don't know.
it was front end.
pouring.
Huh?
It was pouring at the end. I mean, if it was
It
leaking
was
in the
pouring
beginning,
at the
it was
end.
pouring at the end.
So I don't know. I mean, gear wise, it was still good though,
The
right?
case was
The case was crap.
destroyed. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we had to get a whole new front drive unit from Hicksville. So front end wasted, transfer case
So you knew
fully
that
wasted, which we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because this initially all started with the truck on the trailer at being like, hey, what's up? I don't know. And then transfer case, and then trans, and then front end. So
Yeah,
these
I just
things
want to
kind of
point
spilled
out.
at
I
the
just
end
want to
here.
point out, like he was like, yeah, you know, I was looking at brakes and I was looking at it and thinking about it as if it's my money, even though it's Nick's money. Yeah, man, I saw that front diff leaking, man. You know, I decided to run it, and then
Well,
No,
to go into splitting a
Hold on.
front diff, you gotta pull a front diff out and you gotta split it and you gotta reseal it. So I figured it was just like your typical bad seal leak that it was just slowly weeping, but it was definitely leaking a lot worse towards the end of the season.
right.
So,
We're fully undercoated at the end of the season.
Well, I mean,
Okay, transfer case now as well.
Yeah, I mean, you never break one of these transfer cases. They don't break.
you know, that's guys call in all the time. You know, hey, I'm building a high horsepower street truck, this and that. What do I need to do? Nothing.
Pump rub kit.
Our
Right?
race truck,
Yeah.
you know, our old race truck,
Race
nothing.
truck. Like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody shell a transfer case that had fluid in it. Only exception is it's dry. Yes, you will break it.
Right.
But no, the gear was
Busted
literally busted. I mean, like busted.
Smoked.
So I mean, something about that 4-3 shift, I think, just sent a shockwave through the whole drive line that
Just
cost
could
us
not
some
handle.
parts.
Yeah.
Cost us some parts. Yeah, that was like an Ivy League sled pull. That was a full learning experience.
So he gets like the stamp of approval for like F3.
that was a serious.
here goes the big
scholarship
F, the F stamp right across the screen.
The LBZ Budget Build series, how not to do it.
Yeah.
How not to end your season.
So
Yeah.
I guess let's dive into the budget itself.
Yeah. Okay. So
So-
Tyler, you kicked off, if I remember, and we'll look this up in post, but roughly $3,500 for repair budget to start the season.
That's where, after our initial, turbo injectors, pump, other supporting stuff, we did have like a $3,500 budget left over. That was like our safety to work with.
And then about halfway through the season,
Then we got into CV shafts. We got into the drive shaft. Spent some money there. And then what else did we touch on? I think that was really it. New yoke, but then we were probably around the 2,000 mark, and that's still also adding up the fuel for our time for traveling as well. Towards the end of the season, though, I mean, we were at I want to say around $1,000, like $90,000 left in the season at the last pull. So that, of course, is going to be going to everything else that broke at the last pull.
980 will fix it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, 98 engine, new front end, trans build, transfer case. No,
no,
Everything
no.
close.
but I mean, we learned a valuable lesson,
Yeah.
right? And our viewers who got to spend $0 also got to learn a valuable lesson.
And then we rolled the truck into a farm field, lit it on fire. Here's that footage now. No, sorry guys, it's not. No, do you like that? You like that idea a lot, don't you?
Well, there's some backstory to something.
Yeah,
like
I know.
that.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that out. So actually, we do have plans for the future of the truck. I think this is a really good time. Any last defense for yourself you want to throw out there, Tyler, or notes for our viewers maybe would be a nicer way to put it.
I guess, to start things off, the way that the truck was set up originally, if you had a bigger budget to work with, I mean, if we could have thrown some more attention at the trans and
Great solution,
Drive
asshole.
on.
If you have more
More
money,
money?
you could do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
there's-
Maybe if you were just a little more, if you were just a little more observant and looked at your front diff, just a little bit, if you just paid attention,
I mean, there's
if you tighten that bolt down just a little bit more. Yeah, it's funny.
overall, it was an awesome season. It was a lot of fun, definitely a learning experience, and I mean, we figured out why I got my nickname too, because I mess up every single trans that I drive. So
True story.
Yeah.
True story. Nick, any final advice for viewers or jabs at Tyler?
If you can find somebody else to carry your budget for you, do that. Find sponsors. An important part of racing,
It is.
right?
It is.
Never downshift while you're sled pulling.
never.
I think no one's
But hold on. What if my turbo is snuffing out? Do I downshift twice if it snuffs out twice as hard? Period.
I just want to point out, no one's going to care about your money more than yourself, all right?
Yeah, no. I don't have anything else nice to say. Like my mom taught me.
You taught me that a couple
Gonna
years ago.
get
I'm
real
still
quiet
working
in
on
here
it.
real fast.
You are.
So the future of the truck.
Future
Well,
of the truck. All right, great announcement, guys. Diesel Performance Podcast. We're taking this truck over.
Nick is going to donate it to us, and we're going to do cool stuff next year with it.
Donate's a strong word.
But he's going to fix it first.
Any sponsors watching?
We are seriously taking on sponsors for the truck. We're going to be reaching out to the sponsors of the podcast and some other sponsors without in the industry, looking to see who else wants to get involved in this. We're really looking to make a staple in the work stock sled pull class. We'll be in our local area and take it out to a little bit further of a reach this season, this time around. Hope to take the truck on travel with us, get it out to a couple of shows, let some of our listeners and some of our viewers actually get to see it, put their hands on it. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So we're gonna pretty much just do it right and show Tyler up for
I
season
can't
2.
wait to see you guys try and drive. Can't wait.
Honestly, I'm a little nervous sled pulling, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad it's on camera.
Yeah.
There's the one
Why?
one thing is like you can't practice this unless you're in front of people at a track and doing
The
it.
stress is what gets you, man.
That is every time. You know what? Like
Every time.
at the drag strip, you know what before like taking an automatic truck to the drag strip has its own nervousness around that, but then taking like a manual trans vehicle to the drag strip and launching it and running the car,
Right.
or a truck, completely different scenario. And now you throw it in the dirt. The little things like, oh, I got to put it in 4-wheel drive, well, high or low, what gear are you going to be in? Like, there's all these little things that you have to think about that I judge Tyler on. Like, Tyler, you're an idiot. Why didn't you just do this? You don't think of it in the moment.
No.
When you're hooking up to the trailer, getting ready, 4-low, locking in, and doing all that. Like, you don't think of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is nerve-wracking. It's a completely different experience. I'd rather be talking in front of a group of people than doing it.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited as well. So neither Chris or I have much, if any, experience actually being on a sled pull track. We got some different plans to recruit some other people onto our team to kind of help us out with some of the places we're not as strong or we don't have as much expertise. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a really exciting season. Sticking with ISP for now to get us kicked off there, and we'll see where it grows. So we're really excited for season 2. Guys, unfortunately, it's going to be a while before you see season 2. This is episode 12 of season 1. We're just coming to a wrap up. We're recording this early mid-October.
Yeah.
This will probably get published in a couple weeks. But
We're gonna
kickoff
do-
is like June, July next year.
We're going to do another podcast. We're going to talk about an update that's going to happen come springtime or in the middle of winter when things are a little slower. We're going to put our heads together, get Nick involved, come up with a game plan of what season 2 looks like, and you're going to have to learn how to drive a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Turns out I've been riding a bicycle to work for the last 25 years. No, not really, of course. So for all of you podcast listeners, follow along. Chris and I will be giving you updates on the podcast. And then for all of the viewers from Duramax Tuner and Calibrated Power, keep an eye out on the channel. We'll try to post some updates pretty lightly over the next 6 to 8 months. And then as the project starts to ramp back up, we'll have some videos out for you guys.
Yeah, you're going to learn how to back up.
Yeah, reverse is the one thing that kills me.
Maybe we
I'm so excited for this.
get a backup
It'll be a
camera.
long season.
We can probably get you a backup camera. That way you know you're going right to the hitch.
Yeah. Okay, sponsors. We're looking for a backup camera.
It's the little things. It's the
The work
amenities.
stock
It
class is all about amateurs, man. It's just it is an idiot class. I mean, there's plenty of guys who've been doing it for a while. A lot of them eventually graduate to 2.6, 2.5, 3.0, whatever you want to call it, right? If you're in the sport long enough, but it's a show. I mean, there's 25, 30, 35 trucks at a click, and it's fun to watch. And I mean, no matter how much power you got or how well the truck is set up, it's about is the driver on his game? Are you lucky that night? Is the track decent?
That's a big thing.
You know?
We learned so much from season 1. There's going to be those mistakes repeated again.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. We're human.
Right.
Yeah,
Just-
I would know when I was not on my game, like right off the bat, like once I got in the truck.
Like
when
you
I
back the
wasn't
truck
in
off the
four-wheel drive.
trailer, and there was a puddle on the ground from the front to.
None of those were the indicator. We just want to make
No.
sure so we know we're trying to learn.
No.
No, what was the most
No, you're-
nerve-wracking
you're-
pull? What
you're-
was the most nerve-wracking pull you had?
I think you know which one that was.
I want you to say
It
it.
was my engagement.
Oh yeah, we skimmed right over the fact that your driver
I thought he was gonna have a panic attack.
spent the sled pull worrying about his camera cam or his ring cam.
So I just want to point out, like, I love busting people's balls, and I love being a jackass. Like, my favorite thing to do. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
I
good
sit
at
next
it.
to you every single day. Yeah.
So he was like in the staging lane for the night. I knew what was going on, and like I walked up to him, like, dude, he looked like ghostly pale white.
Yeah.
He was scared shitless, and I was like, you know what, like that was like the first time I actually had self control. I'm like, dude, you got this. Good luck. Like, I was proud of
That was-
myself. That was a win.
Honestly, I would check that off as like the one time you've ever been nice to me.
No, like I really admit, yes. You're correct, Tyler.
Yeah. So Tyler
And I made up
got
for it ever
engaged
since.
at the sled pull track. Absolutely.
No, that was out of the entire season. I mean, Belvedere was an awesome pull. That was definitely my best pull of the entire season.
Everyone was accusing you of cheating. I
Yeah.
mean, the sled
I mean,
wasn't weighted
people,
like that.
people,
was,
people ran up to the announcer stands
Yeah.
asking, that was an awesome pull. But second was definitely the engagement.
I can't
I
believe
mean,
she said yes.
That's where we were all shocked.
Yeah.
That was the real surprise.
no, yeah, it was overall that was one of the best pulls of the season. I had a lot of fun. I mean, adrenaline was pumping like crazy that pull. Double time compared to the rest of the pulls. So
Sure. And you still end up pulling first that night.
Yeah.
So, good job.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, guys, this has been so much fun. I'm really glad we got a chance to come down and do it and kind of talk about the whole season and get ready for next year. Chris and I are going to be going out, making a fool of ourselves, and seeing how much shit we can break.
Until next time,
For today, this has been Paul Wilson.
Chris Ehmke.
Nick Priegnitz.
and Tyler Franzen.
Thanks for watching.